What's bumping, everyone? It's Wednesday, May 26, 2021. You're tuning in 2.5 Hoopers, Kirk Heinrich's favorite basketball podcast. I'm Jacob Lehman, your host. With me, I have Josh Rhodes.
Good morning.
Good morning, indeed. Josh is a little tired. He's got to be up early tomorrow, but who cares? It's playoffs, baby.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's playoffs.
My second favorite, Captain Kirk Heinrich, of course, behind Kirk Cousins.
So, yeah. Josh in the same time zone as me, so it's 12:30 right now, a.m. George, 2:30 a.m. for him. He's alive and well because as the biased, which is why he's the half hooper, Lakers win, Clippers loss. He's a happy guy. Plus Dodgers. We don't cover baseball.
My serotonin levels have jumped immensely.
Plus the 3 p.m. wake up kind of helps him out there.
Plus the thought that George is getting a haircut tomorrow, so he's very excited about that. George is hyped.
It better go good. That's all I'm saying.
He was texting me, "What do I get? What do I get? What am I, a fashionista? You're gonna look good no matter what, George.
Yeah,
you look great."
You and Cole are the long hair guys, so I needed your opinion.
Long hair's not looking great right now. Why are you confused, Josh? You getting a mullet? What? All right. Anyways, good show for you guys. Promise it won't be like that intro. All the game twos for Monday and Tuesday. Luka and Jokic monster stat lines and the W. And then is a ton of panic for some teams down 2-0. All that and more. Keep watching. But if you like what you make sure to follow at THHoopers, Insta and Twitter. Drop a comment on YouTube too. We'll get to it there. J Sports dropped a comment. So he said, thoughts on Toby Harris and how he has prepared for playoff basketball / atmosphere. So, Josh, he didn't stink up a game two, so the most recent memory of Toby Harris in your mind is a 35-point bomb. 37-point bomb against the Wizards. So I know you're probably still upset about that. Are you familiar with this? I did my research. Yeah. Okay, do you want to take this question then?
Sure. Just for a quick recap. So Tobias Harris is kind of known as like the class clown for the Philadelphia basketball team, but he kind of took it to a different level. So the second half, a lot of times when they finished practice, he would get a lot of the reserve guys, and it was just a lot of hacking and fouling on both ends, trying to toughen them up while also trying to toughen himself up, getting called as many bad names as physically possible. It's kind of like what we do on a regular hangout, but like after practice. And I think that's a good thing because it just brings the extra intensity. I know that when they debuted against Washington earlier this year, he went like 3 of 11, 8 points, not great. And then he came out 37 points. He looks like a completely different player from that first game. He looked a lot more focused, and it was very unorthodox. So I guess good for him. We'll see if it maintains consistency. But I mean, it sounds so like cliche because I wonder how long it actually went on for, because eventually like they're going to run out of names to call him and run out of ways to foul him. So I don't know how productive it is over a long term, but I think it's pretty cool.
Well said. George, as unorthodox as it is, do you see a way for it working? Because Toby Harris, class clown, kind of a soft guy, pause. But do you see it kind of work in this playoff atmosphere? Because, you know, that there's crowds now, and he kind of stuck up in the bubble too. He's not a big playoff guy. So do you see this kind of working, or is it just going to be if he does show up, is it just kind of a coincidence, or do you think there's a direct correlation here?
I like it. I think it could get some positive results. I mean, the worst thing that happens if he doesn't perform, I don't think you can blame it on him in that practice. So yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, it's a different way of preparing, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I don't think you're going to blame it on that.
For sure. Okay. Well, thank you, J Sports, for the question. I think he's done 90% of our questions. The 10% is Danny Stiff. Thank you, Danny Stiff. Love you, Danny Stiff. Nice haircut. You pulled the buzzed head very well. We're going to get some basketball now. We'll cover Toby on the Thursday show because they have that game 2 against the Wizards on Wednesday. Today, happy Wednesday. But starting here, Mavs beat the Clips 127-121 on a Tuesday night to take a 2-0 series lead. Series though has the Dallas, where there will be a minimum of 15K in the Cuban Arena. Neither team was playing a lick of D this game. Both shot upper 50% from the field, and Dallas shoots 14% better from 3, though, over 50% there as well. Luka had 39, 7, and 7, as the Clips had no answer for him when he wasn't settling for threes. I'll have more thoughts on that later. Kawhi, 41 in the L. PG chipped in 20, as both had stellar offensive games, but they really couldn't step up on the other end. No other players in double figures for them besides them and Reggie Jackson. So Clippers. Porzingis sighting. Him and Tim Hardaway Jr. combined for 48. Great shooting. Clippers win last 5 minutes, 15-13, but couldn't get stats when it mattered. So now that I'm done naming stats, what kind of adjustments do the Clips need to make to get back in this series, George?
They need to find a way on how to cover Luka Doncic, which is easier said than done. I mean, they were basically just trying to trap him, blitz him, but he'll beat you with his playmaking. It's a very elite passer out of those doubles, and he finds the open mans on the three-point line, which is why they've been shooting so good. So they tried, with Kawhi or PG on him. It worked for a little bit. It's not its best thing. I mean, at this point, I don't know. Do you have someone pick him up 94 feet, immediately trap him at half court, like we saw the Lakers do to Harden last year? I think that's your best bet. If you try doubling him up at the top of the key, he's gonna bury you.
No, you can't do that.
No, if you pick him up right at half court, I think that's a better bet because it gets the ball right out of his hands, and someone else has to initiate offense. That's kind of my best idea.
Yeah, so as far as stopping him, so he shot 5 for 11 from 3 in the Saturday game where he had where they won that one as well. And then in this one, he shoots 5 for 13. So I think the way to stop him is kind of just let him shoot threes. He can get hot, but you can't. I mean, all the three stakes are contested, so I figure give him more. But if he's driving, he's sneaky strong. You hear this term sneaky athletic with every white guy. Alex Caruso sneaky athletic because it doesn't look.
He's just big.
Dunk. He's just big, like Luka Doncic. So I mean, if you let him drive, he's gonna tear every defender apart. Josh, are you seeing things, or you ready to talk?
No, the dog's barking outside. I don't know if you can hear it. It's not a happy camper. I guess I'll piggyback off of George's point because it didn't seem like offense was really the problem. Both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard had bounce-back games from their game one. But, yeah, the big story here, well, first of all, I'd like to mention Dorian Finney-Smith, 3 points, 1 assist. Only guy in the starting lineup under 10 points. Cringe.
But he had the highest plus-minus of the starting lineup.
Oh, kind of good for him. It's probably because he was in the third quarter. But I don't know.
I don't like slander. Continue. He played well.
Luka had almost 40, and I mean the 3-point shooting, I guess, but man, I don't know. It's just like one of those. I think the Clippers really have to focus on shutting everybody but Luka down, which is because we're looking at the supporting cast here. Hardaway Jr.'s had 2 back-to-back really good games. Porzingis had a good game, and I mean Kleber got his shots up. And the bench, they didn't score too much, but it looked like they were still managed to be a part of the offense. And I'd much rather have, if I'm Ty Lue, have Luka score 55 with 3 assists, because I think, in my opinion, that puts them in a better situation if their offense is clicking. Because it's really hard to take Luka out of the game, almost to the point where you have to consider just letting him do what he wants and taking everything else away from him.
So you make a good point, but here's the thing, you know how the Blazers made Jokic a score in their first game, so they kind of caught him off guard? Luka will drop 70. He'll do it. Yeah. Jokic doesn't have what it takes to drop 70. Luka will take you off the dribble, pick you apart, and he'll score 70, and they'll win the game still. I'm not saying it's likely to score 70. He does like to get those guys involved, so George, I don't know where you fall on that, because what Josh's saying is it seems like it's a good plan. You make Luka score all the points, and you take away the guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., 28, Porzingis, 20. But those guys can get their own shots as well. It's not like they all rely on Luka. So I don't know if you can take them all.
I mean, if you try and go with the philosophy of, make others beat you, I don't know if you want to try and do that. But
He's saying make Luka beat you.
Yeah, but
how
do you stop the other guys? Because a lot of their shots come from, incredible Luka passes out of double teams and stuff. I mean, nobody one-on-one is going to stop him. So Josh is saying you guard him one-on-one, stay home on everyone, and you just let Luka go. That's what Josh is saying. Drive to the cup? I don't know. You're playing a dangerous game. I mean, you're playing a dangerous game every way. So, I mean, I guess at that point it's worth trying something. But letting him get to the cup every time? I don't know. Because their offense isn't a problem. It's literally just Luka. He's a complete, phenomenon on the offensive end. I like my idea of just trying to blitz him at half court and, not letting him initiate offense and try to see what other guys can do.
You swayed me towards Josh's. Now I'm with Josh. You can't blitz him at half court. This man has eyes in the back of his head. He'll find an open shooter.
even if you pick him like right as he crosses the half court line.
No, no, you can't do that because Luka just now Dorian Finney-Smith has 21 in your head, 7 threes. That's just what he does.
Say Dorian Finney-Smith.
I mean, the Lakers did that to Dame and Harden, and it worked. They paid dividends.
Because they're not
the Lakers
6'8".
and Clippers are
Luka can see over everyone you send after him. Besides Ivica Zubac, and you want to put Ivica Zubac on Luka, you don't do that.
Also, George, you said Dame and Harden. This is Luka Doncic. This isn't score first mindset.
Slandering on your guy.
This isn't let's slow the offense down every single time. James Harden. This is Luka Doncic.
Okay, so it's put Kawhi or PG on him 1-on-1 and just like 5 out. You're going.
Well, we're not NBA coaches. There might not be a way to stop Luka Doncic. There may not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Until who would they play in the second round? It would be Utah. If they winner of this series.
Western Conference
Finals. Their ticket to the conference finals in a date with either the Lakers or the Nuggets.
I actually think the winner of the first round between the Lakers and the Suns would too, unless Chris Paul is like his arms falling off. But that's besides the point.
So we got to see who they would play later to see if they can stop Luka, because I don't think Quinn Snyder and Rudy Gobert are stopping Luka Doncic. But Josh, because you're saying it's a scheme thing, is it a Ty Lue thing? Because they couldn't stop him last year and they had Doc, and they have Tyler this time. Or is it just Kawhi and PG are either not A, the defenders that they used to be, or B, they're putting too much effort into offense?
Well, I think it's a little combination of I don't think it's the offensive thing. I think it does fall on the coach, because obviously you kind of have to put them in the mindset, and we both know Doc Rivers and the team didn't really agree. And then this year it feels like Ty Lue's kind of just taking a passive role and just controlling the superstar egos. But at the same time, like, not this game, but other games where Paul George and Kawhi struggle, you have to take your opponent out. If you're that good and you're struggling on offense, the least you can do, or the least you're supposed to do, is take out the opposing best player. And neither Kawhi or PG have kind of stepped up to the plate, so that's really unfortunate. I mean, this is Kawhi Leonard. This is a Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Final MVP. Both of them probably for stopping the best player on difficult teams. And then Paul George, we know that he's been a superstar on defense for most of his career, even with that leg injury. It's kind of disappointing and disheartening. They kind of need to step it up over there. However, I don't know if sacrificing the offense is worth it.
Fair enough. We'll switch to more Clippers-centric stuff instead of Dallas. Clippers stopping Dallas. George, I told you that they outscored Dallas by 2 in the final 5 minutes. Did you see a reason they did that? Because it just fell on the defense, just not being able to stop anyone there, and them giving up open Porzingis dunks. We'll quickly touch on that, and we'll have Josh wrap us up for Clippers Mavs. But was it something as simple as just them attacking the rim, or their shots were falling for once? Talk to me.
Yeah, they hit a few threes down there at the end of the game. I think the game was kind of out of reach already. It was like a 9.8-point game with under a minute left. But yeah, they were hitting threes. Kawhi hit one, Batum hit one. I think PG hit one. They did have a few inside looks. I think PG got a dunk and someone else got a dunk. But at that point, I feel like the Mavs were kind of playing a little bit of a softer defense, because they were just trying to, let time run off, let them get what they want, and then get their free throws. But yeah, they fell for now. I mean, they didn't fall in game one. It's a dangerous game to play, but they fell in this game.
Josh, final thoughts here, unless you have something else to add. But I want to talk about George brought to my attention that I've been saying a lot that Rondo might not be the guy to lead this group of guys, because there's a lot of guys with a lot of strong personalities. And Ty Lue's the kind of guy to do that because he's passive, but Rondo is not passive. And he seemed to be yelling at Ty Lue on the bench after he got checked out. He was yelling at Ibaka, and Ibaka was yelling back. Thoughts on that, on Rondo with this squad, and if it's going to continue? And then final thoughts just on this whole game.
Okay, yeah, so I'll wrap it up. I mean, I did say that I thought Dallas was going to win game 2, and I also had a lot of faith that the Clippers would come back and shock the world and win game 3 and 4 in Dallas. I don't know how much that applies. I'm still going to take the Clippers for both game 3 and 4, but Rondo's a very pivotal part. We've seen, and that's I think the big difference is that Rondo thinks of Kawhi and PG completely different of the way he thinks of LeBron and AD. He thought of AD he's played with AD before. He knows how AD worked. and LeBron James is LeBron James. Now we're looking at Kawhi Leonard, who he has a respectable, career in terms of awards and whatnot, but he still hasn't really truly stepped up to the plate in the recent years. And same with Paul George. Both have had great careers, but just not on the level of LeBron. So it's kind of hard for somebody like Rondo to kind of lower and kind of take that third seat role that he did for the Lakers last year. So I don't know if he's going to be able to handle his ego. That's a very big part because they definitely need his leadership off the bench. But that's a very big what if. Or not what if, that's a very big question that the Clippers need to answer if they want to win the series.
So, Josh, did you have Dallas this game?
I did have Dallas game 1, or I didn't have Dallas game 1. From last podcast, I said Dallas will win game 2, and then Clippers.
So you're the only one to get it right. I believe me and George had Clippers.
I said Clippers. PG would have a bounce-back game. I mean, 28 isn't too bad, but obviously they didn't get the win.
Let's see if Josh can do it again. Who wins game 3?
I'm going to
take do or die for the Clips.
I'm going to take the Clippers.
Take Clippers? George.
I'm going to take the Clippers. I'll be level-headed here.
I'm going Dallas. They're not going to be able to handle that
Joker!
crowd. They're not going to be able to handle that crowd. It's that team in a bad environment, bro. Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas went up.
Marcus Morris is going to be shaking for his lives when 18,000 fans start screaming.
Big Luka game or big teammates game, Josh?
Big Luka game. But I think that actually, you know what? I'm going to say bad Luka game. And I'm going to say the whole team has a bad game and the Clippers kind of blow them out.
Yeah, if Clippers win, it's a blowout. Kind of like their series in the bubble where there was one close game and then a few blowouts. Finally, moving on. That was the game of the week of the podcast, though. So I figure we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Well, George, your Lakers won. They beat the Suns 109-102. The other really good game from this weekend, from Monday and Tuesday. Lakers beat Suns 109-102 on Tuesday night, tie the series 1-1. Lakers now have home court advantage as it heads to LA. I want to preface this segment by saying CP3 played a total of 22 minutes, only 7 minutes in the second half as he was still battling that shoulder injury. But that being said, AD had a great bounce-back game, scoring 34 and grabbing 10 boards, going to the line 21 times, which led to Phoenix getting in foul trouble and some easy points for the Lakers. LeBron and Schroeder chipped in, both scoring over 20 and kind of run that offense down the stretch and getting AD the ball when he was hot. Booker and Ayton followed up their perfect playoff debuts with some more banging stat lines. Booker at 31, 17 of 17 from the line. I think he took 7 free throws in the last 30 seconds, though, so that might be a little inflated. And then Ayton played 42 minutes at an efficient 22 and 10. So I'll bring this to Josh now. Campaign stepped up huge in this game. He had 19 off the bench, played a lot of those minutes that Chris Paul should have been playing, but he was battling that injury. Are they going to be able to survive this series without their point guard?
No. Let's just cut straight to the chase. Devin Booker had a Mickey Mouse 31-point game, 17 free throws.
Oh.
7 of 17 is not terrible, but he didn't make a 3. He didn't shoot the 3. He didn't really get the opportunity to. Ayton is getting logged with the minutes. Chris Paul, not only – I'm not even going to – because we can tell the clear difference between what Chris Paul brings to the offense versus what Campaign does. That's not really the issue. The issue is on the defense. The defensive leadership is absolutely gone. You have 2 respectable wing defenders in Crowder and Bridges, but you don't have somebody leading them. Campaign is actually a liability on defense, as you could tell toward the end of the game. The Suns, as much as we like to talk about how exciting they are and how good Booker and Ayton run the pick and pop, pick and roll, all that fancy stuff, they just are. They're back to the team that they were without Chris Paul.
We didn't talk a whole lot about the injury last episode because I was too busy getting frustrated with my Spectrum Wi-Fi. But this injury is clearly affecting CP. The last game and this game, the handle's just not there. When's the last time you saw Chris Paul dribble the ball off his foot? He doesn't do that. He's Chris Paul. So this injury is obviously hampering him, George. Do you see a real way that because Campaign can't play any better than he did this game, did he? Can he?
No, that was the Campaign game. He had 19. I don't see him getting over 12 again. I'd be surprised. He was kind of feeding off the crowd too, which was phenomenal for them. It was rocking in there, but no, I don't expect that again.
Moving on to Lakers side, what were you most impressed with here? Because I'll give a few LeBron, he played it like a feel-out game, which gave him a lot more energy to conserve down the stretch. He was passive, I mean by that. He had 23 and 9. AD was cooking. He had that swagger back. Drummond, 15 and 12, and didn't play down the stretch. What's not to like here, George?
What'd you say?
I mean, is there anything not to like here? Was this a game you expect from the Lakers when you said they're going to win?
Yes, they bounced back in exactly the ways I thought. A lot more physical defensively. They came out soft in the first game, to put it like that. They were a lot more aggressive, locked in. Drummond, I'm going to give him credit. 15 and 12, very good on the offensive boards. Got 5 of them, created a lot of second chance opportunities. That led to, I think someone tweeted like 10 points, 7 points. So, I mean, his offensive rebounding has led to a lot of good things for the Lakers. AD, very aggressive, which is the key to us winning a championship, I guess I should say. But, 21 free throws. He was obviously getting inside a lot more. LeBron was incredible down the stretch. That's just the playoff LeBron experience. And then 3-point shooting was really bad again, 30%. KCP was really bad too. So I think that'll sort itself out. I mean, I know the Lakers can shoot better than 30%, but like last postseason, this is what they did. They cruised themselves to a title, but it's obviously going to be a little bit tougher than that. So that needs to be better.
Thank you, Mike Trudell. Josh, bit of a different lineup. He played a lot more Marc Gasol this game, and Trez got a DNP. I know George liked that. Do you like that?
Gosh, George has a man crush on Marc Gasol. I mean, I the only reason Marc Gasol works with them is because Anthony Davis gets to do what he wants in the paint because Marc Gasol can just kind of chill out the perimeter. But I mean, like, George, why do you have a man crush on Gasol? Is it because he's just as slow as you? Or I mean, I don't like Trez.
No, because it gives more AD more space to work down low, and plus
that's what I figured.
Yeah, no.
Gasol all shots were threes, 2 for 4 there.
Yeah.
I will say one thing.
He hit a really big one.
80 at the 5, really cool. That's our best lineup. But playing 2 big men, whether it's Drummond or Marc Gasol, you have to put Jay Crowder and Anthony Davis. And George mentioned the one pro of that, more offensive rebounds for both. And then 2, he was cooking him, Jay Crowder. I mean, he was cooking him that they put on him. To wrap this up, George, is there like actual kind of beef here between Lakers Suns, or is it just Jay Crowder and campaign versus Suns?
No, this is playoff basketball. I mean, there's been a little bit of chippy moments. Jay Crowder, they got in that fight in game 1. Obviously, Chris Paul campaign shoved Caruso. Trez came running at him, and then Jay Crowder. I'm not going to call him a dirty guy, but he's had some moments.
He's
especially last year in the finals. Well, that was Kelly Olynyk, but I'm saying I remember in the finals specifically, there was a possession where LeBron was on the ground. Jay Crowder kind of just like grabbed at his shoulder again. And, there's a little bit of history there, but I don't think there's, much beef. That crowd was feeding into, campaign's energy. They were talking a lot too, so I didn't mind it.
I was watching the game with J Sports, Josh Nowakowski. Always a pleasure. He had me over. It was a beauty. He made me pizza. It was cool. He said he hates campaign. I just can't hate him. The dude was playing in China like 8 months ago. Now he has an NBA contract. He's playing great ball. He feeds in the crowd. He got ejected the first game, came back, scores 19 here, fills in for Chris Paul. This guy campaign can ball. But as far as Jay Crowder being a dirty player, I also like on that LeBron 3 where he kind of iced the game and AD set that slip screen. Jay Crowder's kind of like grabbed him and shoved him, and like I know AD's like a little bit like kind of like not soft, but he's kind of flimsy, I would say. And Jay Crowder's a big dude, but like I don't know if you can be doing that. Josh, take us home here as far as talking beef or just last thoughts in this game.
No, if anybody thinks that this is real beef, there's literally not.
No, this is playoff.
More real beef, go to Arby's.
LeBron James probably laughing. He's cheesing. He doesn't care. Like, sure, throw Anthony Davis around, whatever. But no, this isn't real beef. And if Jay Crowder and campaign keep playing with this quote unquote chip on their shoulder, like this will go 5. If they get too focused on the aggressive side of it, they're gonna lose. They need a great game plan. Monty Williams has got to do it, but they need to execute that great game plan Monty Williams has for them to have a chance, especially without Chris Paul. If they get too far ahead in terms of just aggression and feeding into crowd energy, they're gonna go down in flames.
Yeah, I need Monty Williams mic'd up every game just because he's that classic like middle school coach where he's just like, keep trying, man. You're good, you're fine. But you can do that because these guys are so talented. Like you have a DeAndre Ayton, former #1 pick. He's gonna be a multi-time All-Star. You just tell him, just relax. And Ayton plays great. We kind of got to evaluate the series a little bit because we don't know the status of CP. It's probably going to come out. He gets a dislocated shoulder at the end of the series. We're just going to find that out. He's playing through it or something crazy like that. Let's say we get the same CP. Well, let's say a little bit better than we got tonight. He plays about 25, 26 minutes, plays half the second half, as far like 12 minutes or so. Who wins next game? I'll start with George.
First playoff game in this LeBron AD era at Staples. First playoff game at Staples since 2013. I gotta take us. What?
That's not true. Clippers been running LA. They play in Staples
for the Lakers. Oh my God, you just trying to piss me off. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Lakers. I think they're gonna be very locked in. Although I did pick the Lakers in 6, I still think that's gonna be the case even with a hampered CP.
Where does Phoenix get their game then? Because I was debating this too. Because I think
probably back home. And listen, it's a little bit because I've seen the Lakers like trick off a game. I remember that Game 5 against Miami in the bubble last year. They so could have won that game, but they didn't come out with the intent. I mean, Jimmy.
Where LeBron went buck wild and played like his best finals game ever.
But no one else.
Jimmy Butler's some credit, you menace.
I was about to say Jimmy Butler's 40-point triple-double. You cut me off. But yeah, that's what I think is going to happen.
Josh, who takes Game 3 at Staples?
If Chris Paul doesn't come back, Lakers win the rest of the game.
Gentlemen sweep.
All the series. At the gentlemen's sweep, you let them win the first game or the last game?
You lose the first one.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we're gonna get an answer.
Sleep is when they lose the last game.
Fortnite dance. Who knows? Okay, Nuggets beat the Blazers 128-109 on a Monday night to even the series 1-1. Now they're basically blowout. Denver boys 2-0 deficit. Now the series heads to Portland. Nuggets won all 4 quarters. Now the double-digit lead for the last 20 minutes. This was not pretty. Dame was really trying. Jokic was insane, though. 38, 8, and 5. This game ball goes to the other Nuggets, 12 them out. 6 other Nuggets scoring double figures after I think only one of them scored double figures besides Jokic, and that was Michael Porter Jr. in the first game. So good there. Dame had 42 with a great first half, but no one else seemed interested in winning as the team shot below 50 and had 21 turnovers. Not going to get it done. Denver was clamping up there. It was a lot of steal turnovers, too. A lot of passing lanes, all that fun stuff. Always had this as a pick. I'm going into it. What did you kind of learn from the first 2 games being blowouts, and what did they tell you? Do you stand by your prediction? I'll start with George.
Yes, I stand by my prediction. I have Nuggets in 7. It kind of seems like it's just going to be a back and forth. Hopefully not back and forth blowouts. I thought the series would be a little bit more competitive so far. But to talk about this game in particular, one thing, I mean, Dame was lighting up the Denver Nuggets defense. I think he had 32 going into halftime. And something I heard on the broadcast after the game. Oops, I have something playing in the background. I'm sorry about that.
We didn't hear that one, luckily.
Oh, okay. It was just music anyways. But one thing I heard post-game was that Aaron Gordon at halftime said, let me get Dame. He wanted to take that matchup because they were just single coveraging him. I think they had like Facu on him. That Will Barton wasn't playing. He was just letting him up. And he said, let me take him one-on-one. He had 10 points in the second half. He's kind of embraced that role for them, the Jeremy Grant role, like we have discussed multiple times. And yeah, he stopped Dame. And I think Dame said, he usually sees doubles and blitzes, and no one has really guarded him as well as Gordon did one-on-one in that second half. So if they can find a way to keep doing that and, making life tough on Dame, I think they might end the series quicker than I have it, but we'll see.
Joshua, so a big point after the game, I was watching the guys on Inside TNT. This Denver team is a lot different from last year's bubble Denver team that went far. Obviously, no Jamal Murray and then Jeremy Grant, yada, yada, yada. And then also we mentioned that Will Barton was going to play a key role in this. I think I even went as far and said if Will Barton doesn't play, Nuggets don't win the series. But here we are tied up. What are the new guys kind of doing and how are they fitting? And by that, I mean the Aaron Gordons, the Austin Rivers, the Fulcando Campazos. Does Jokic have enough here to win? Or is it going to take a lot of heroics and was this kind of a fluke game as it heads to Portland?
Well, no, it's not a give me for either team. They both have, if they struggle, then it is what it is. I mean, we didn't get the same Carmelo Anthony performance. Nurkic obviously took a big hit. I mean, Dame and CJ did their thing. I would like to see Norman Powell with the reserve team more because I think he's a great creator for his own shot. First game, Michael Porter shot under 50%. He, I mean, not from three, but just from the
5 for
field.
13.
Yeah, but I mean, the Nuggets did what they were supposed to do on offense. Jokic had a phenomenal game, 38, 8, and 5, but they got some bench help, and then they also played defense, like George was mentioning. Aaron Gordon's fitting into the role that we thought Will Barton was going to play. Now it's kind of up to the rest of the Blazers to kind of figure it out because the main goal for the Nuggets is to limit Dame and then, put up their normal efficiency on offense as like their two main goals. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that consistently. We all picked Denver to just bounce back because I think that it's Denver. I mean, they're not going to go away without a fight, but I still think Portland has the driver's seat or is in the driver's seat going into games 3 and 4.
So George,
What's up?
you like to say it's a first to 130 kind of game. Is this a first to 130 kind of series, or do either of these teams kind of have the defensive chops to kind of lock in? And it's not going to be Portland, so I guess I'm kind of asking, does Denver have those defensive chops?
I think Denver does. I don't know how consistently they can do it. So, yes, in most games, it's probably going to be like a 120 scoring effect. I don't think that Aaron Gordon's going to be able to shut down Dame, completely. But I definitely do think Denver has that chance to shut down Portland's offense a little bit more.
So, just kind of bring this home. Either you guys changing your prediction.
Nope.
George, you have Nuggets in 6?
7, and I'm going to keep that.
I had Nuggets in 6. I think I'm going to keep that. Josh, what was your prediction? Is it updated?
Blazers in 7 was my original prediction, and it is still my prediction.
Might as well stick with it, yeah.
Let's go.
All right, so to kind of take this home, unless either of you guys have any closing remarks, cut me off.
Nope.
Who takes Game 3 up in Portland? Josh?
I think I'm kind of torn. In this one, I'm going to say it's a OT game. I think Norman Powell is the big hero for the Blazers, and I think that they steal one.
Steal one on their home court as your favorite. Interesting phrasing.
Yep.
George?
Yeah, I agree with Josh. Not the reason that it's going to go into overtime, but I think I'll take Portland. I think Melo's going to have a bounce-back game. He wasn't particularly well in Game 2. So
the first? Oh, no.
I like Portland in this game.
The Blazer fans miss Dame time. That crowd is going to be rumbling.
I want to swerve, be a little quirky guy, and pick the Nuggets. I just can't. This is going to be a Blazer. It's going to get out of hand in the third quarter. That's third quarter or early fourth. I think it's going to get out of hand. And I can already see Dame. He's doing this. He's waving on the crowd. They got Anthony Simons waving a goddamn towel on the bench.
He's dunking, actually. Yeah. That's how bad the game is.
I see it already. I have them splitting. We'll always get to predictions after Game 3. But I have them probably splitting the games in Portland. All right, moving on to the second to last one. We kind of get to some, George hit it around the nose there. Kind of some sleepy ones.
Wow, I didn't even plan that.
Bucks clap the Heat 132-98 on a Monday to take a 2-0 series lead. Bucks held a 42-20 first quarter lead and hit 22 threes in this game. George, is there anything historic about the first quarter or first half for threes with the Bucks? I remember I see a tweet.
There probably was. I actually didn't get to
they might have broken like a record, most threes in the first quarter, something. Who knows?
I'll do my research. You keep going.
You know what? Good for you, George. Thank you. He cooled down, though, from 3 and only hit 8 after going 20 for 50 in Game 1. Giannis, 31-15. Drew Holiday, 15 assists. This game was lopsided as hell. No Heat player besides Dwayne Dedman shot over 50%. Shout out, Josh. And Jimmy takes 0 threes this game after shooting 9 threes in Game 1. So, how we looking, Josh? Are he going to bounce back on their home court? Is Tyler Hero going to find his shot? Because he's looking like he's not a good basketball player right now.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God,
you had the Heat. You picked the Heat.
I did. This one hurts. This one hurts because now they don't have the Game 5. They have to win Game 5 for my prediction to be correct, which I really don't like. I think they're going to. I mean, George, this when people say the Bucks look like a different team. This is what the Bucks should be doing every single night. They don't do it every single night, George. They almost lost game 1, but if you want to say
feel out game.
If you want to say that the Bucks are a different team, they should go into Miami and do the same exact thing. I don't know what's happening with Jimmy Butler. I don't know if he's tired. I don't know if
he's stupidly locked in.
His head is getting to him. Like they took him out the game early. They took Bam out of the game early. Like they were getting throttled in the first quarter. It was not like I think Brent Forbes came in and scored more points in that first quarter than the Heat did. Like the entire team. It felt like he made every single shot he took. And
Brent Forbes.
I don't know. I don't think Tyler Hero is going to get any of that swagger at all, which is kind of sucks because he's from Wisconsin. Shout out George. But
Milwaukee native.
Yeah, but it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I don't want to call them a Mickey Mouse team. Like they're more Mickey Mouse than the Lakers, and that's
the
sad.
bubble trick us.
Are you just talking about bubble? Because this is a different team than the bubble. Like
I know,
1,000% different.
but you would think that Jimmy Butler, like it kind of looks like everything, his soul got evaporated. We've seen like his last 2 playoff runs have been like amazing with Philly and then finals with the Heat, and now it just looks like he's getting abused. This is a very good. I did see this on Twitter, I believe, or Reddit. I think it was Reddit. Somebody said this is a very good first round matchup for a Bucks championship run because this is like their big mental block, and if they're able to take care of them easily, it is very hard to go against the Bucks. I kind of agree with that, but
me and George have been pushing that. You face your demon first round because if you can't beat the Heat, you can't beat the Nets and you can't beat the Sixers. So might as well just play the first round.
Their biggest demon is wearing number 21 in Philadelphia right now. That's their biggest demon.
That doesn't move them. Anyways.
So, George, I'll lob this up to you because Josh touched on it briefly. They're not in Jimmy Butler's head as far as like, they're trash talking him. They're saying stuff about, getting in his head. They're in his head basketball wise and the way they're playing him. And Josh, they took him out of the game. They took Bam out of the game early. Jimmy shot 9 threes. Like I said, the first game shot 0 here. He doesn't know where he wants to go with this. He had 10, 2, and 4 on 4 for 10 shooting. Played 32 minutes in a blowout. I mean, is this coaching? Are you going to give Bud some credit?
I might. Before that, I did my research. They set 2 records. They tied a record for most threes in the first quarter with 10, and they set a new franchise record for threes in a game with 22, like you mentioned, or however many. So, and then to get to your question, so the Bucks defense, in a way, the way they defended all year, it kind of helps them out because they give up a lot of open threes. And this Miami team, like I've mentioned, very inconsistent offensively. I said their guards really have to be hitting for their ceiling to raise, and they're not hitting right now. I don't think – have they broke 100 in regulation? I think they did in game 1 because of overtime.
I don't know, but I noticed that 98 in a blowout. That was a blowout since the first quarter. You normally get some garbage points there.
So, yeah, and they were, 27% from 3? 28. So, I mean, their defensive strategy is going to work. So, Brook Lopez is good for this series, in my opinion. And also, offensively, I've noticed with Miami, Bam isn't looking to score. Like, I remember Brook was just sitting there in the paint, and Bam had the ball at the elbow. He just didn't shoot it. He passed it, and it was a turnover out of bounds. So I'm wondering – I don't want to say they're in their head because I don't think so, but –
I think they're in their head basketball-wise.
They might be intimidated at just how they've responded because maybe they thought they had a chance because, I can't speak because of how much they beat down on them last year. I don't know. Maybe that's what they thought. They just – they overthought. They thought it would be an easy matchup, and now they're down 2-0.
Josh, do you think we overlooked that the Heat kind of played like almost a perfect offensive game the first game, and the Bucks played horribly and still won got the W? Or do you think this is just a good game by the Bucks?
Don't call it perfect.
They shot 20 for 50 from 3. Yeah, when are they doing that again?
Jimmy Butler, horrible. Just almost worse than Giannis. Don't call it a perfect game if their best player isn't doing what he normally does offensively.
I would say a perfect game when the guys that aren't supposed to show up and pick up the slack for the star player that isn't playing well. But continue.
Okay. What was your initial question?
There is no initial question. Just talk some more about this game.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess I can talk about what Miami needs to do. They need to trust Bam more on Giannis, I think, because they're kind of over-reliant they're doing like the thing that they were doing, like the wall sort of. And Giannis is like, well, I'm just gonna pass it, and then swing, 3-point bucket. Like that's kind of how the first quarter went, and they had so many turnovers, which is definitely what they're not supposed to be doing. I think if they want to do that, I think they might have to slow their game down offensively, because that's kind of how they were doing it game one, and that seemed to work. The Bucks running in transition, you have probably the most lethal fast break player on the other side in Giannis. He's 3 steps from half court and he's in dunking position. That's so scary. But I think they need to trust Bam more on Giannis, because I think Bam has a good shot, not completely stopping him, but holding him to a respectable amount of jumpers. And Giannis went 1 of 7 from 3, so maybe you could experiment with that more. But I think that they just kind of need to slow the game down. They need to kind of figure out what they want to do pacing-wise if they want to have a chance. But they do have a full crowd at Miami. And those Miami Heat fans are ride or die. They've seen it all. So I definitely think that they're going to be in good shape.
George, to send us home here, you have Bucks making the finals. I kind of stop off on the Bucks train in the conference finals, and we go Philly cheesesteak, and we go to the finals then. But we were both kind of in this Bucks for the long haul ride. You more than me, like I mentioned. Have you seen enough from these 2 games to say, hey, I feel like it's good? Or is it just kind of like Heat, Mickey Mouse bubble, this, that? It's kind of like Heat losing this series more than Bucks winning it, yada, yada, yada. Just expand on that.
Yes, I've liked what I've seen so far, especially from Drew Holiday. I said he was going to be the X factor. 15 assists here. He really is really good with leading that offense. And it's another option away from Yanni. Like we've been saying the last few years, you can't wall him now because you've got guys on the perimeter. Bryn Forbes, we talked about it really early in the season, although halfway through the season we kind of diminished it. But we did like that signing early on. And if he's going to play like Game 6 Clay out there, it's only going to raise their ceiling. But I definitely do. And my thinking with this is if they play as good as they do, I think, against the Nets and get through them, I don't think that that they would be stopped by Philly, because really it's just Yanni and Embiid, and then everything else kind of solves itself, because I feel confident in the second and thirds of Middleton and Holiday beating the second and third of Simmons and Toby. I know Josh is probably not going to agree with me, but that's where I am.
Well, I guess that's where we drop off, because I feel like the Sixers is a better version of the Bucks in every way of it. And the Bucks clash perfectly with the Nets because they take advantage of the Nets' weaknesses, and that's size. So that's where we kind of stop off there.
You would pick the Sixers over Nets if they were the 2-3 matchup?
Yeah, maybe. Get back to me on that. But
you do have them in the finals, correct?
I do have Sixers in the finals, but I have Bucks taking care of them. And I don't know.
Well, if they're a better version of the Bucks,
we're not doing a second round preview. I don't want to be held accountable for this right now.
Okay.
Josh, who is taking Game 3 in Miami?
I don't know why George is getting so excited as soon as he plays Kevin Durant. Oh my gosh! But that's for another episode. Miami, absolutely. I think that they come out strong. I think this is their game too. Milwaukee probably kind of gets blindsided by the crowd. Maybe a Giannis ejection. Maybe if some frustration. But Jimmy Butler is definitely. I hope he needs to have a bounce back game. He absolutely needs it. So I think big games for Jimmy and Bam, and they take it.
I mentioned this last pod. Milwaukee going up 2-0 is pretty common. Them winning the series afterwards, not as common. This series is not over. They were up 2 on the Raps, and the Raps rattle off 4 in a row. I assume that's what Josh has happening.
When Drake. We need a Drake in Miami.
That's Pat Riley. He shows up with the slick back and the rings, and it's glamour. And so obviously, you said you obviously have the Heat winning. Does that mean blowout or just it's a win 100%?
It's a blowout, I think.
It's a blowout? Okay, George. Bucks taking a commanding lead, or Heat getting back in the series?
I'm gonna take Miami. Similar reasons as Josh. I think Jimmy Butler is gonna be huge. Not like a Game 5, from last year's finals, but I think he's gonna be big for them down the stretch. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. They'll probably win by like 8-10. I don't think it's gonna be a complete blowout.
So far, this is exactly how I thought the series would go. I thought the Bucks would take both of them, and then I have Miami getting Game 3, and then Bucks rallying off the next 2. So I have Milwaukee in 5. I had Milwaukee in 5. It's looking pretty damn good right now. But yeah, I have the Heat. I have the Heat taking this one probably for sure. If they don't fraudulent take away their Eastern Conference banner from last year,
Mickey Mouse,
they don't matter. Speaking of stuff that doesn't matter, Nets beat the Celtics 130-108 on a Tuesday to take a 2-0 series lead. Another blowout, big three combined for 61. Joe Harris, efficient stroking of 25. No player on the Nets played over 30 minutes. Tatum only clocks in 20 minutes here and has 9 points on 3 of 12. Yeesh. Nets win the rebound battle and the block battle, proving that the Celtics can't even take advantage of the Nets' one weakness they have, which is size and defense. Well, that's 2 weaknesses, actually. This is my only sweep. Anyone here want to prove me wrong? George?
Nope.
Anyone home?
Sweep.
I'll do it.
Yeah, you have Celtics getting one?
I'm still waiting for the Boston TD Garden Jason Tatum 45-50 burger, actually. That's the only hope I got. I mean, oh, man, this Nets team is just so good. They did the complete opposite of what I thought. I thought that maybe they would take it off the gas a little bit. They kind of just, oh, my gosh.
No mercy. Cobra Kai.
I mean, like you said, none of them played over 30 minutes. They just did a very smart thing. They're like, hey, they all don't have to play at the same time. And then they just like switch them out until, oh, we're winning by a lot. Let's take all of them out. So a lot less of Robert Williams this game. And I know Jason Tatum did get that eye injury in the second half.
He did.
Mickey was not happy about a call previously. So
Katie's kind of beat up on Tatum in the first 2 games.
Katie's kind of beat up on. Don't Google Evan Fournier. That was weird.
Evan Fournier was getting all excited.
Called him
his
female dog.
Actually, Evan Fournier had a decent game, but Durant had 4 blocks. So that stat right there is probably like if you had to pick one stat to determine the game, Kevin Durant 4 blocks. I think that's the.
Whoever had the over under parlay on KD 4 blocks probably won themselves some good money there. I will mention Robert Williams third before I let you keep going. He's battling turf toe. He's hobbled out there, bro. So the 60 minutes doesn't surprise me. Continue.
Yeah. You did say Landry Shamet would have a 20 piece. He had 10. The leading scorer off the bench, but everybody was getting minutes off the Nets bench. It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, the Celtics weren't in a position to win if their best player is shooting under 50% and only are playing less than half the game, or being available, I should say, for less than half the game. I think they still won in Boston. I think it's 5, because I still don't know if the Nets are just going to absolutely throttle them. I feel like they'll slip up once.
George, I want to start a dialogue here between you and the Nets fan to your top right. Can you take anything from this series from the Nets? Because they're going to win this one, and they're going to look great. But can you take anything from this series as far as how the big three play together, their on-court chemistry, the rotation they're running? Because it is Boston, and they don't play defense, and apparently they don't play offense either. So have you seen anything you really take from this Nets series? And then I'll let Josh have a little rebuttal.
Well, their offense really hasn't missed a beat. I know the big three had 82 in the first game. I honestly didn't watch a lot of this game. I didn't watch a lot of this game. I know they shot the lights out in the first half, and then I turned it off. So I'm not worried about them offensively. I never was. There's just way too much damn talent for me to worry about this. Defensively, though, I am a little bit because, the alien and Jason Tatum for the Celtics hasn't really showed up. That you can attribute a little bit of that to defense. But next round, I mean, as long as the Bucks get to it, they're going to have to see Yanni, they're going to have to see Drew, all these shooters. How do they respond to that? So I'm a little bit worried there about their defensive chemistry, but they have been middle of the pack all year. They did improve post-Harden trade when they got a lot of their guys back. So you can take a little bit from this series, but yeah, that is a question which has been asked on Twitter too. But people are kind of just they're in no man's land, wondering if you can take something away.
So Josh, respond to that, and also as far as the chemistry there with the big three, 81-61, they're balling, but there's a lot of your turn, my turn. None of them. So Harden has 7 assists, Kyrie 6 assists, KD 5 assists, which they're still sharing the ball, but it's not a lot of. It's a lot of my turn, your turn. What have you seen so far from the Nets? And do you take it?
My turn, your turn, but Joe Harris had 25. I mean, I guess because but at the same time, okay, That's great. Your turn, my turn. Harden score the ball, Kyrie score the ball, Kevin Durant score the ball. Like same result, different player. What are you gonna get mad about it? I don't think so. I don't think they're really worried about that. George,
So
like, I get the comparison between the Celtics and the Bucks with the shooting. Come on, man. You don't think Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni are gonna walk in there and go, "Oh, here we go. How are we going to guard Middleton and Giannis?" And no,
Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni talking about defense. This must be a movie or something.
Exactly. No, that's
You
my
must
whole
be
point.
watching
bro.
like fan fiction.
Steve, that's my whole point. They're not going to game plan for defense. They're going to sit there and go,
that's bad. That's bad.
No, it's not, because I still have good money that the Nets have enough offense.
So they're just going to be like, you know what?
No.
We can't do anything to stop Giannis. So let him drop 2001 Shaq numbers.
Obviously, they're going to do some very minuscule thing to prevent Giannis from breaking the scoring record. But at the same time,
if you're talking like this, I'd be surprised if the Bucks lost. Because if you just go, we're not going to give a damn on defense, they'll put up 130 easily, and they can get stops on Brooklyn. In my opinion.
Yeah, look at. Oh my gosh, that I just have such a hard time going against Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. I know they have Drew Holiday, the first team all defense guy.
Kyrie second round exit, Harden second round exit.
Kevin Durant, 2-time Finals MVP.
Had to join a 73-9 team to win
James Harden, sixth man of the year.
Okay. Anyways, I mean, like, I guess you can take a little away from the series. Boston's kind of a Mickey Mouse 7th seed.
You can take something away. I agree.
Just because of injuries.
Did you say Mickey Mouse 7 seed? It's a 7 seed in the East.
That's already Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. They without Jaylen Brown, there was no hope for this team going into this series. But the Nets look really sound, and
they do.
I really have to see like a game between the Nets and Bucks to kind of make an executive decision if the Nets need a game plan more. Because honestly, it's hard just in general. If the Nets are just playing like smooth and sound the way that they have been this series, it's really hard to bet against them, because at any point, 3 of the 5 players that they have on the in their starting lineup can go for 50. That's
4 if you count Joe Harris. So
yeah, if you want to lower it to 40, 4 of the 5 players. But like, I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting, fun series if the Bucks and the Nets end up playing each other. I'm still going to take the Nets.
If it'll happen.
No, I still have faith in the Heat.
You still have faith in Miami.
But I think George is overestimating the capabilities of the Bucks in terms of offense. I think that they rely heavily on their defense in some cases, and Chris Middleton's still inconsistent in my opinion. And you never know what you're going to get with Giannis in the playoffs. So it's still up in the air.
Sorry to every Celtic fan listening that your team talk got turned into a Bucks Nets second round preview.
Celtics had a great year. Celtics
Tatum
had COVID. Kemba Walker doesn't know how to shoot.
We can already start talking about it's still the Nets just did their job. Like home court advantage.
Marcus Smart came back from injury. We forgot that he had.
Nets haven't done anything yet. They just won on their home court. Go in Boston. I dare you. Try it.
Jason Tatum 50 burger. It's gonna happen.
Who's winning game 3, guys? I'll start with Josh. He looks a little bit more awake now.
The Nets.
I got him riled up. Yeah,
the 50 burger is gonna be game 4. The Nets.
Although I am interested to see the environment of TD Garden, because Kyrie said, he hopes that Boston fans, won't say some things.
I hope they boo.
Oh, he said like hopefully no belligerent chanting and racism.
I hope they.
I'm sorry, man. Boston fans.
I hope they boo him. I hope they boo him to death, because he'll take that to the finals.
They treated Bill Russell bad. So, anyways, I'm taking the Nets here.
You mean in the 50s?
Yeah, I has much changed in Boston
when racism was prominent, George? Like,
I don't know if much has changed in Boston. Some of those people are nasty.
Oh, George would know, Boston native over there.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill Burr, that you're racist, but all right. I have Nets too. So moving on to kind of some housekeeping here. Award talk. Monday, it was announced Jordan Clarkson was awarded 6th Man of the Year. They did it on TNT, where Joe Ingles that Ernie asked, he was like, how many 6 men have the Utah Jazz had their entire franchise, and Clarkson's like 0, and Ingles is like 1, and he handed Clarkson the trophy, and it was super cute. I liked it a lot. Should have been Derrick Rose, but we'll get on that. And then Tuesday, Randle was awarded the most improved player, the worst kept secret in the league. It was probably unanimous if they released the votes. It was cute. His son Caden, I hope I got the name right, gave it to him, told him about it. So a lot of cute stuff going on there. We'll start with this. Did they get him right? We're not most improved Randle, but I know we had a little bit of discussion on the sixth man of the year. I know George had one Utah player. You had Ingles, I had Rose. I think Josh had Clarkson. So, George, you fine with this?
I expected it to be Clarkson. I mean, hey, 18 points per game. Just the second half of the year, he wasn't as great as he was when he came out.
No assists.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it. It's kind of just like a points per game thing with the six men. They don't look into like efficiency and all that. It's like who scores the most off the bench, we give it to him. But yeah, Randle nailed it. So I'm okay with those awards.
Josh, I know you discussed a little bit of not remorse, but like he might add a point there with the whole Clarkson efficiency thing that George was giving you on our award prediction show. He still deserves it. You stand by your correct prediction.
He's deserving of it, but I mean, I think for in my case, it's kind of what George said, but just for Derrick Rose, I didn't think Derrick Rose was eligible for the award. I think he has the better story, but Clarkson just has phenomenal stats. And at some point, you kind of have to acknowledge like just the mass amount of points he was producing because there's no Donovan Mitchell. They were struggling with injuries early at in some points, and they kind of went in a slump at the beginning, and then they kind of just picked it up, and they haven't looked back. And Jordan Clarkson was a big pivotal part of that. So I think you have to take that into consideration. He's definitely deserving of the award. Derrick Rose probably like a little bit more, in my opinion, in terms of deserving it, but I'm not mad about Clarkson winning it.
Yeah, Clarkson, I had Rose just because not just the storyline, because I mean he was great for them. He was probably their third most important player, and he's coming off the bench. But I just remember when they traded for him, they were like, "Oh, he's just going to ruin the development of the young guys. He's going to take the ball out of their hands." And they've been so much better with him. So
that's also gotta hurt him though. The fact that he wasn't on the team start to finish.
That's true, but he was coming off the bench for Detroit, so it does still kind of count. But yeah, then for Randle, we're all fine there. George, this kind of geared towards you. Do you like the new format they're doing instead of the awards show, where they kind of do this cutesy stuff on TNT and they announce it during this playoffs?
I like what they did. Yeah, get out the way, because last year, as we saw, they had to give it to Yanni at home after he got eliminated. I know the playoffs have nothing to do with it. Yeah. And plus, they do the show like way after the finals too, when nobody cares anymore. It's like, oh, he won, most improved for, when the regular season finished a month and a half ago. And plus, I mean, I think Shams always leaks it like an hour before the show. So it's like, what's the point of the show if we know? So yeah, this is fine. I like it better. Yeah, I do miss that part, when like Peyton Manning was hosting it and all that stuff. That
was the ESPYs.
That was the ESPYs. Oops. But yeah, I like it better when Shams drops a bomb. It creates more chaos. So I like this.
I think Phil Mickelson was going to host the new NBA awards this year, but they decided
to
scrap it.
Recently won something in golf. I don't know what it was. I don't follow golf, but congrats, Phil.
He golfs.
Masters? PGA something?
He won the golden jacket like in Happy Gilmore.
They always give that out. I think it was the Masters. PGA.
But don't say like in Happy Gilmore. They actually win a golden jacket, you idiot.
But it's based off Happy Gilmore.
Okay. Anyways, I agree with George. I like because then you get to see the cool stuff. Like 2007, Dirk had to accept the MVP trophy after they lost in the first round. And I always one of the first few memories of basketball is watching LeBron James hoist that first MVP that he got in 2009, and then him throttling the Hawks with like 40 in that like the same game. Those are always fun things to do. I like how they do that. I would kind of like how if they would announce the awards like before the game, because that always gets the home crowd hyped up, and like that's almost like a certified win. It's kind of easy.
Or like when they was it when they gave it to Malone during the finals, or was it Tim Duncan? I forget.
Who?
It was to David Robinson.
Robinson.
They gave, and Hakeem was like, now I'm pissed.
There you go.
And
he scored like 50.
gave him 60 dream shakes.
Sorry, that's 330
Gets
brain
that from
talking.
watching Eli Manning or whichever the Manning brothers host the NBA awards.
They got to hurry up and give this to Jokic because he might be knocked out by the Blazers. They better hurry.
Was the last
hurry.
time an MVP went out in the first round? Was it Dirk? When he won? It was Dirk,
Russ.
Yeah, but Russ got it afterward.
Yeah.
Russ was an MVP and he went out the first round. What do you mean?
Like he got the award after like they announced it.
Oh,
I thought George was talking about like they couldn't give it to him because they normally used to do it in the second round because they would assume the MVP would make it.
Because he took it in a suit or whatever.
He didn't make it.
He was looking like a lawyer.
But Russ is recent, and then I think it was Dirk after.
All right, well, to wrap this up, I don't know how many will overlap. I don't know how many game 3s are played when we covered their game 2 in this podcast. We're just going to go ahead and preview the Wednesday and Thursday and who we think is going to win. So NBA TV on Wednesday, we got 4 o'clock, Wizards and Sixers. George, who you got?
Sixers. And I don't think it's going to be close this time.
Oh, yeah,
Josh.
no, Philly. Yeah, Philly.
Either of you have a sweep here, or you have Wizards going to game like I do?
5.
The gentlemen's.
Okay. We all got the gentlemen's? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Embiid's just going to –
This next one.
Embiid's going to take care of the Wizards this game. This is my favorite series.
Me too.
Like I said, Jacob Cizek, not a fan of the series, too much defense. I love it.
Oh,
With the
come
Hawks,
on.
And we got the Knicks, 4:30, game 2 in the Garden again. Spike Lee will be there. I'm going to start this off. Knicks bounce back. Josh.
Yeah, I agree.
Julius Randle's going to be better in this one. Knicks win. I'm going to say like by 10. Double digits. We'll see.
If Randle struggles again here, can we expect him to get back on track in the series, or is John Collins kind of going to work on him?
I would expect him to. So he does have some games where he puts up a lot of shots, doesn't make most of them, but he does affect the games a little bit.
Oh, so that was his playoff debut.
Yeah, that's
I know. I'm saying if it happens, I think he's going to bounce back.
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, I'm
and
just saying like in general.
For the love of Josh's sanity, please play RJ Barrett more than Alec Burks. He'll lose his mind if you do it.
Alec Burks had 27 on 9 of 13
I like
shooting.
Alec
He
Burks.
deserves
Alec Burks. Throw both of them in the game. But if they take RJ Barrett out because he doesn't shoot the ball well, I'm gonna lose my mind.
All right, Jazz Grizzlies. We should have Donovan Mitchell back. It was a weird thing. We should have him back.
And he's playing, but we've been here before.
For now, deja vu. Josh,
injury.
Jazz blow. I'm torn between a Grizzlies close win or a Jazz blowout, but I'm gonna take the Jazz blowout.
I need a Jazz blowout just because I have Jazz in 5, and I have money.
They just lose again.
So I have to take the Jazz. I have to take the Jazz the rest of the series. If Donovan Mitchell's back, I'm pretty confident though. George,
it's a must win. It's kind of like their backs are against the wall, but not really in a sense because this is an inferior opponent. But they're definitely going to come out ready to play. I think Donovan Mitchell's going to be huge. I know he was pissed off for not playing in game 1, so I'm going to take the Jazz by 15 plus here.
Sheesh. All right, going on to Thursday. So we covered, I believe, all of these as far as who's going to win the next game. But which one are you most excited for? What's the best game on Thursday's slate? We got Bucks Heat, we got Suns Lakers, and we got Nuggets Blazers, all going to the next city for game 3.
I'm gonna be a homer here. Suns Lakers first playoff game at Staples for the Lakers before Lehman.
What if they lose?
Again?
George is
I'm
gonna be
so excited for the
bad.
Blazers home court. I'm so excited. All right. Josh, you don't have to pick Heat Bucks. You don't have to.
Well, I mean, I might as well cover all of them. I'm not excited for the Heat crowd. I'm excited. I just need Jimmy Butler to break out of his shell because playoff Jimmy is just Jimmy Butler plays like he's in a playoff game every time, except the 2 playoff games that he's in this year. I need that high intensity because the way they win games is through him. And oh my gosh, they become a completely different team with Jimmy Butler succeeding.
Did he get too locked in? Was he too stupidly locked in? Or
no, because they were like dead last in the East. They needed him every step of the way.
He scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. I'm like, I got Bucks in 5. Then, quote, I'm stupidly locked in. He's got muscles on his muscles.
He's playing stupid right now, but he needs to. Yeah, he'll get to it.
All right. Well, thank you, boys, for good show as always. I'm gonna call it there because a few of us have to sleep. I don't know if all of us have to. George looks wide awake, if you ask me. But Josh is a very important day tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., so I'll call it here.
4:30, actually. I have to be out of here.
That's going to do it for tonight. Thanks for watching or listening. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or follow at THHoopers, Spotify, everywhere we upload. Drop a comment anywhere you see our posts. We'll answer it, just like we did J Sports today. We'll see you guys Thursday. George never come back without his phone. You know, all the usual stuff. Thanks for being an OG. And everyone take care.